Hi and welcome to 21st Pittsburgh, and today we are going to talk about why the Steelers sucks at the moment. I'm sure it will be a really fun episode. Pittsburgh played the Bengals last week and lost. I don't even know the score at the moment. What was it? 24-17 or something like that. And I don't really care because Pittsburgh played like shit anyhow. It was the worst game since the Patriots game week 1 in the 2019 season. We learned a lot about the Steelers team, and unfortunately it was not anything good we learned. I will address why this is happening in this video, but first a short recap of the game Steelers-Bengals. First half, Steelers sucked bad. Second half, Steelers sucked a little bit less. Let's move on. When Bill Cowher hired his staff, he managed to have 7 coordinators that ended up becoming head coaches. There were Dom Capers, Jim Haslett, Marvin Lewis, Dick LeBeau, Mike Mularkey, Ken Whisenhunt, and Bruce Arians. Tomlin so far have 0, null, nada, niet, and it will probably remain that way. Unless Mike Munchak wants to get a head coach job, which I don't think he wants. Why do we have Randy Fichtner even as an offensive coordinator? Well, the offensive coordinator before Randy were Todd Haley, and he was not a liked person in the Steelers organization. Todd were just an asshole to everyone, coaches, players, other staff, field personnel, administrative staff. It was a really bad situation for everyone in the Steelers organization. I remember one journalist with the NFL Network said the only person he or she had met over the years that were really mean to people on the sideline trying to do their jobs were Todd Haley. It got even so bad with Todd Haley as the offensive coordinator that separate coordinators, the running back coordinator, the wide receiver, the quarterback coordinator, had to put extensive time to sort out the communication problems that Todd had with the other players. The most documented is of course the situation with Big Ben and how they had to call down Randy Fichtner, that were the QB coordinator, to the sideline to act as a filter between Ben and Todd. Ben eventually called Todd out publicly, and Todd got fired. Then they gave Randy the job. But you have to remember, they didn't give Randy the job on merit. Just because everyone were just glad that Todd finally were gone. Todd spent 5 years in Pittsburgh, and that was at least 4 too many. Already after Todd's first year in Pittsburgh, there were reports that he had huge communications problems with other coaches and players. He was often aggressive against other people in his surrounding. Todd is now an offensive coordinator for a high school team, and the only NFL job he got after leaving the Steelers was as offensive coordinator for the 2018 Cleveland Browns, and that is hardly a merit. So when Steelers finally, after those 5 dysfunctional years with Todd Haley, got the opportunity to hire a new offensive coordinator, they took an offensive coordinator that was nice, could treat humans with respect, and managed to have a conversation for over 5 seconds without yelling. Took the QB coach Randy Fichtner that Ben got along with. Don't misunderstand me here. Randy is a very good, or at least an average, quarterback coach. But he is not a play caller and he is not a good offensive coordinator. Randy got really bad leadership. He is saying one thing, but then doing something completely different. Let's go back to the 2019 season, because this is not something new. This is not something that only have occurred in the 2020 season. When Mason Rudolph were asked after Ben got his injury and he became the starter, what Randy is telling him and what the main strategy going forward were when they just had lost the game. Mason said something that won't surprise any of you that have been watching Steelers for the last few seasons with Randy as the offensive coordinator. Mason said, quote, "Maybe you don't get the first down, but you help out the net punt." That is what Randy talks about. We want to play past the sticks. We want to play and move the chains. But you have to think about the bigger picture and field position and not turning the ball over and punting your defense in a bad spot. What Mason basically is saying here is that Randy, rather on a 3rd and long, plays a short yard play that will help with field position. Anyone that have watched football since 2000 knows that field position today means jack shit in modern football. In modern football, possessions are way more important and scoring on those possessions. If you hand the ball over on their 40 or 20 yards, is not in the bigger picture a bigger decider of the outcome of the game. It's whether or not you score when you have the football. So, going back to Randy's bad leadership, what Mason is saying here, we all know is the truth. Watching Steelers play the last couple of years, we all know that he likes to play extremely short plays in extremely important situations. 3 and long, let's do a call for a short 2 or 3 yard gain, because he thinks that will help them in the end, which it won't. The problem comes when Randy later on is asked what he is telling Mason and what Mason is saying about the specific situation. So this quote is mega cringe from Randy, but I'm going to read it anyway. Be prepared, it's a lot of bullshit from Randy, but here it comes. Randy says, quote, "I think the difference when you see the growth of a young quarterback is pulling the trigger in tight spaces. It doesn't get any tighter than when you get down there. Field is shrunk, decisions must be quick, and you have got to be prepared to pull the trigger and live with that consequence." So I'm going to stop there. The quote continues, but already here he's throwing Mason straight under the bus. He isn't even throwing, he's hauling him under the bus. Mason said earlier in his quote, "Well, you have to be precautious, it's better to just get a few yards, that's what Randy is telling me, I'm trying to play it super safe, yada yada." And when Randy is asked about it, he is just talking about how to, grab the situation, play out it, and try to pull the trigger in tight spaces. Randy continues a little bit later, and he says this: "So Mason's got to get to that point where maybe the easy throw was to throw it short. Maybe we broke a tackle and scored. Nice job. But boy, it was coming open behind him, and just anticipate that a little bit and be able to make that throw." So here Randy even confirms. Randy is calling the short play. He's telling Mason, here is a short play, we are setting up for a short play, but I want you I'm going to yell at you if you don't throw it long, if you don't grab the tight positions. It's so stupid. This shows exactly what is the problem, and you can hear this today as well if you look back to the interviews with Randy Fichtner this year. So when we see wide receivers dropping passes, it's not because they are bad at catching the football. We all know that. We have seen them catch a shit ton of good passes and bad passes. It is 100% mental. It's all in their head. And it is because they are hesitating in their assignment. They are not securing the football. They get nervous. They don't know what to expect from the play. And they don't know what is expected out of them. When Ben, with all his experience in the game against Bengals, isn't on the same page as Marquise Pouncey and just struggling with the most simple passes, that is also 100% mental, because we know that Pouncey and Ben have shit ton of time together. It is a system error within the organization, and that system error always originates from bad leadership. And on top of that bad leadership, we have the bad play callings. We saw it all the time last year as well, and even more this year. Last year in week 1, with Big Ben as our quarterback against the New England Patriots, Randy, for instance, called the same exact play 3 times in a row. 3 times! How hard is that to scan and read for the defense? Not that hard. And of course, Steelers on those 3 plays went 3 and out. Albert Einstein, the smartest person of all time, is widely credited with saying, "The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, but expecting a different result." This is the reason Steelers are struggling. Randy have no clue what he is doing. He have no strategy at all. Steelers need a new offensive coordinator as soon as possible. Randy even said that he thinks other teams still haven't figured out Steelers' offense. That's how insane he is. So we will probably see more insanity the rest of the season. Thank you for listening. Please support me with a subscription and the Steelers and Penguins community. Thank you so much. See you again soon.